recording. I'm hoping I can put it up onto YouTube afterwards. We'll see. All right. Thanks, Pete. Okay, so let's go back to the Bechdel exercise. And so I'm just going to walk through, I don't have any slides on this. I'm just going to walk through what we're going to do. So everyone try and just sort of follow along with me. Okay, so I'm going to do what we did last time, which is I'm gonna go to get the GitHub repository, and I'll put this into the chat so that you have it. But I'm just going to demonstrate where you get it from. I'm just going to do this, and we hit the copy here. But I'm gonna put this into the chat, and you guys just copy it into your clipboard because you're going to need to put it into RStudio Cloud when it says new program. So here I'm putting in the chat. So you're going to need this guy. That's the actual exercise, and then I'm going to pop over to RStudio Cloud. So everyone log back into your RStudio Cloud, and I'm going to try and make this a little bigger for me. I don't know if it helps or hurts you guys. Is that still a good size? Is it too small when I made it bigger, or is it okay?
I think it's okay.
Okay. All right. So let me know, everybody, when you're back in your RStudio Cloud. Or I don't know if you can raise your hand, or not sure. Yeah, there's like hand raising thing. Okay, there's Pete raised his hand. That means he's in. So everyone, like, hit your little reaction hand emoji when you're up. Okay, Lucas is in. Oh, Shamil must have dropped. Hey, Shamil, are you having technical problems?
Oh, I just tried to join on my phone instead.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what you missed, but we're just starting up RStudio Cloud. We're gonna go and do an exercise. So everyone, so raise your little reaction hand thing when. Okay, so Shamil, if are you on your phone only? I don't know if you're gonna be able to do this if you're just on your phone.
Oh yeah, no, I got a laptop with me.
Oh,
just,
okay. Okay, good.
My sister needs her laptop back,
All right.
so I was gonna give that.
Oh, I see. So let me know when you're up into RStudio Cloud, and then we'll go through this together.
Yeah, I got on.
You good? Okay. All right. Is there a way I can reset everybody's little hand? Just raise my own hand.
I think we can just put it down.
Okay. All right. Lower your hands. All right. So copy the GitHub that I put into the chat, and then let's like exactly what we did before. You go to new project, sorry, new project from Git repository. If you're doing it on your own local version, then you're going to have how you did it before. I can help you if you need to go. So hit the new project, and then just paste in that that repository Git file that is called AE2 Bechdel R Markdown.git, and then hit OK. And it's going to deploy, and you're going to want to use this in full screen mode. In fact, let me see if does that screw things up? Can you guys still see that? And is it still, I tried to get some more real estate back by going into full screen mode, but I might have screwed something up. Is that legible, or is that too small?
It's small, but
It's small, okay.
Can you just hit Zoom or something, or?
Well, I can go back.
The full screen is good, but can you just like hit Command plus or something like that, or?
Well, then it's gonna just zoom in. Well, is this okay or not?
Yeah. I mean, we got our screens up.
All right. So open your bechdel.rmd file by clicking on it from the Files menu. And you'll see again that you need to install all of those packages. So click on Install in that little yellow thing that comes up that says these packages are required. I'm going to install it, and it'll go off and do some installation and stuff. So let me know when everybody is sort of installing their packages, and then I'll continue.
You could lower your hand.
Me? Oh, my hand's up. So is everyone sort of in the middle of installing? Or are there problems? You don't have to finish. Just I just want everyone to be at this point where you're installing because it takes a couple minutes.
Yes.
Okay, everyone, is that okay? So
Yeah, I'm
raise
at
your hand
installation.
if you have problems. So one thing that I didn't remember last time, which we're going to want to do, is because of the real estate issue that we have. If you go and click, oh hi, if we
This way I
click,
can see my hand up rather than.
just like this. There's a little gear next to the knit button. Can you guys see that?
Mhm.
Okay, if you click on that, you can preview. It tells you how you can preview, and you click on preview in viewer pane. If you do that, then you'll get the preview in the viewer pane, like I tried to do last time and didn't know how. And then what that'll save a lot of real estate for doing the stuff for if you're just going on a laptop. So I'm going to do that. And you can see that I've selected it here, preview in viewer pane. And I think there's something similar on the desktop version. I can't remember exactly where. It came up by default for me. And then I'm going to hit the knit button just to make sure it works. And it'll ask me again, do I want to install some stuff? I'm going to say yes. And then it'll go and install that stuff. And then you'll see, everyone should see your document come up in the viewer pane like it did here. So here is what you should end up seeing when you're done. And I'm gonna minimize the console so I see my R markdown on the left and I see my rendered document on the right.
How did you get it to like install them again?
There should be a little yellow notification bar that comes up when you open the .rmd file.
.rmd, okay.
Yeah, that it won't come up until you hit that .rmd file.
Oh, and then install. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let's raise our hands when we are at this state where you see on the screen there. Ooh, I see a hand up. Cool. Let's just make sure everybody else. Oh, I have two more. Neil and Lucas is dead last. There's footsteps as if, okay, good. Everyone's there. Awesome. All right, so nice. So now we have, like we had talked about, we have the R Markdown code on the left and on the right's a document. So what this exercise is we're going to start getting into a little bit of like what's in here and how do we change it to like make something happen. That's cool. So we could just take a minute to read through this. It's such a small amount of code of text. I'll just read it and you guys follow along. So this is the Bechdel summary. It says in this mini analysis, we will work with the data from 538 story called Dollars and Cents Case Against Hollywood's Exclusion of Women. And your task is to fill in the blanks denoted by these three little underscores. So the first thing we do is we load the libraries, the packages that we want. So that's like a pattern. You'll always see that at the beginning of a markdown file, at least in the code section. You always have to load whatever libraries you're going to use. And then the next part is kind of it's a little more interesting. The data set contains information on, and so on the right side you see the data set contains information on 1,794 movies released between 1970 and 2013. However, we'll focus our analysis on movies released between 1990 and 2013. So if you look at the code on the left, I'm going to highlight line 19 and 20. You can see that those numbers in the rendering are actually turn out that are not numbers in the code. They're actually bit source code. There's a feedback. There's a little bit. Do you have a problem, Lucas, that you want to? All right.
I'm good. I just can't find my computer charger.
Oh, your charger. It's downstairs in the kitchen. So this code here so you can do what it's trying to show you is that if you use these little backticks, that allows you to insert a little bit of R code in line in your narrative. And so what this is saying is the backtick says I'm going to run something, and then the R says it's going to be in the R language, and then the command that it's going to run is nrow, which is basically count the number of rows in the data frame that I'm going to give you, which is Bechdel. Bechdel is the data frame. Oh, you need your glasses, okay. Okay, so the first thing we want to fill in is after that. So let's just finish lines 19 and 20. So you're looking at three variables. One is the number of rows in Bechdel. In Bechdel, that's the number of movies in that data set. And then you can look, and the years are also variables. So you can look at the R code that says take the min of Bechdel dollar year, and Bechdel dollar year is the year column in the Bechdel data frame. And let me know if this is super confusing. We can drill in a little bit, just a little bit to describe what these things are. But Bechdel is the data frame that comes out of when you do library 538, it makes that Bechdel data frame come into the environment. And then when you do the $, that's finding the columns in the data frame. So min of Bechdel year and max of Bechdel year, and that's these ranges here between 1970 and 2013. So
why is environment empty? Why doesn't it show Bechdel in there?
yeah, it's super annoying. It's because this is so we talked about it, and we're going to get bit by this over and over. When you just knit a file, it has a separate environment, and so none of those files show up in environment. We can run. This is I don't know if we want to get into this, but you can get all those variables into the environment if you want by running by hitting this little guy called run. So
Oh, okay. That's all right. Or just
yeah. So we'll do that later though. Okay, so let's just focus on these little details here. So here we go. So here's the first stuff that we want to fill in, right? So the text here says we're going to focus our analysis on the movies released between 1990 and 2013, even though we know that there are movies in this data set that go from 1970 to 2013, right? So basically, the exercise is I want to, instead of these backticks, instead of these underscores, how would we use one of these patterns to figure out the count of the movies that are in the subset from 1990 to 2013. Anybody? Does this make any sense? So if we have, let's say that we're going to follow this pattern here, right?
Our nrow, yeah.
Yeah. So we
And
want
then
the
maybe
number of
like
rows
greater than,
in the
yeah.
reduced data set, but we also know that we just did in the R in here we did that filtering already. So we said, well, I'm going to create a new data frame called Bechdel 90_13, and I'm going to assign to it the original data frame, and I'm going to pipe it to a filter that will only take the years between 1990 and 2013.
Okay.
So because it was done for you, and we're trying to make these examples relatively straightforward, all we really need to do here is we need to, I'm just copying and pasting this guy. Instead of this data frame,
Our nrow,
yeah,
Bechdel, whatever your cursor,
190_13. Yep.
190_13.
Right. Yep. So I can.
Should we do that?
Yeah. So let's try that, and then reknit your file, and then you ought to see that this little these underscores should change. So I'm going to do that.
Where do we put the okay, so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just trying to find the same place in the code. So where it says there are
27.
in
Yep,
the quote, we're going to use the same. I'm going to copy.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So does everyone
Let's see if what
able to do that?
is what you did. There are
So yeah, I got
that's all.
15 as an answer.
How did you get the answer? did you have to knit it?
Yeah, also, yeah, you have to reknit. So when you make a change, you knit, yep. And that will just reinterpret the entire document.
1615, is that right?
Yep. Do other people, are you guys all able to do that?
Yeah, I got 1615.
Cool.
I got it. I still don't quite understand what the question was, but I got the answer.
The
The
question,
number of movies between
Between these
1990
dates.
and
Yeah,
2013 or something.
that's right. And so we created a subset data frame that filtered the original data to only include the years between 1990 and 2013 by using this statement here on 23 and 24. And I don't want to drill into like what it's doing. That we'll do that later. But we're taking baby steps now to sort of peel back the onion of.
Okay, so this column of years has like a bunch of 1990s in it,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Wanna
a
show
bunch of movies.
data
You want
set?
to see it? You guys want to see it? Okay, good.
Yeah, let's just
So
look at that real quick.
let's just go through the exercise. So you can do this. Everyone can run all. And when you run all, you're basically going to run and bring into the environment all of the data that is
Well,
in.
can't we just look at the structure of the table?
Yeah, so let's look at it. I'm going to click. I'm going to open it. So if you ran all, you can only do that if you run it, though. Unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we could do. You want to go? Let's do that. So just go to this little run guy, this little guy here, and say run all. Do you see that one? Through all the R code that's in the Markdown document, and it'll run it on. Yeah.
Well, there's two data. There's the Bechtel RMD, and then there's the Bechtel 190-13 tabs.
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to close the 9013 again. So you go to the RMD file. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to run, and then run all, and that will run through. That will execute the entire, all the R that's in that R Markdown file. It'll execute in the console, and so it'll bring all that stuff.
Way that you showed us before, where you could just look at the data set.
Just click on
You can say view, right? So the thing is, it's not in the environment until you execute it. That's the problem. So that's just our Markdown weirdness. When you knit, none of that stuff goes into the local environment. So you'd have to bring it in, and to bring it in, we can do that. We would have to get this library, basically. We would have to execute this library in the console, and then we would have to view Bechdel. And that will allow you to do this, and you'll see that the data comes up, right? But I thought that was a little more complicated.
But if you do run all and then you click in the environment.
Yeah, then you'll get everything except what the data frames that are actually in the library for some reason don't show up. And I don't even know why. But this Bechdel 90_13 was created on line.
Oh yeah, it's only showing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like to know how you wanted to filter it, you need to like be able to see the data. Right?
So if we're going to do this in real life, we have to know, we have to be intimately familiar with that source data set, which is that Bechdel data frame. Yep, absolutely. Okay.
So filter is basically taking the rows, basically.
Yes, it's subsetting the rows based on the criterion. In this case, it's the years that are between 1990 and 2013. So anything that had a 1970 year over here, anything that had a 1970 in it, like if I can sort this, well, it's 800,000 rows, but here's a 1970, that wouldn't come into this other data frame because it's not inside the ring. All right, so that was a long-winded way to go, but that's cool. So I'm gonna, when I run on these, I get a bunch of these goofy warnings too, so that screws me up. I'm gonna close, because all the output of the runs, I'm just closing them up, so don't mind me. So that was the first thing, so cool. So now so let's go back to the viewer. Okay, so here we are, and we've filled in our first underscore, which is this guy on line 27. So that's neat. So let's go to the next one. Well, let's read through this quick, because without that context, we can't really do anything. So I'm going to read on the right side. So there are financial variables in this analysis. There's these three called budget 2013, DOM gross, which is domestic gross product or domestic gross income of the films in 2013. I'm sorry, they're inflation adjusted 2013 dollars, and then some gross metrics. So there's a international. So there's a domestic and an international income.
Earnings, yeah.
Gross, yeah. And then there's these two other variables. One's called binary, one's called clean test. And we're going to use those for grouping. And grouping is a thing that we'll get into in more detail. But basically what it does is it groups stuff. And then you can do statistics on the groups. And that sounds a little funky, but we'll I don't want to kick this can too far down the road, but it's a little too complicated to go into now because we would drill too far down. Anyway, so if we did this analysis, we're going to, so we have the subset of data frame, and we're going to group by this thing called binary. And if we look at binary,
So that little symbol there, what is that? I'm having trouble seeing that. It's a percentage sign and then a greater than and a percentage sign.
yeah, it's called a pipe. It's a tidyverse pipe. And what that does is it takes the data frame and it gives it to the next command after the pipe. And so group by is the next command, and what it does is it's a convenient way to express things that you want to do in order, but it's syntactical sugar. It's just a nice visualization. But basically what it's doing is the data set is the first argument to group by, and so it's effectively doing the same thing as saying group by the Bechdel data set, and you're going to group by this binary variable. It's a pattern that you want to get used to. I think it's harder to describe it than it is to just sort of.
Yeah, I just literally can't see it. So I'm just, it looks like it's a percentage sign and then
Yeah,
a
percent greater than percent. I'll make the window
That's
smaller.
okay.
Maybe that helps.
That helps, yeah.
Yeah, so that's called a pipe. Make this a little bigger. So that's just a pattern, and then what it's doing is it's gonna then it'll just output. Let's go back here. Now I want to follow this. So we've done this code that says I'm going to group by this variable called binary, and then I'm going to do this summarization. I'm going to find the median of the budget of these other variables, and they're going to be grouped by binary. So that it's doing summarization. It's giving you reduced amount of data that gives you summary statistics for whatever you've grouped by. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just repeat that. And here's the summarization. So binary is either, so the Bechdel test is like whether or not women talk to people who aren't women and other stuff like that. And you either fail or pass the test. And so binary is like this test, and you're going to look, what it's doing is it's saying, count up all,
Anyway.
give me these statistics for all the movies that failed. Give me these statistics for all the movies that passed, right? And now, okay, so that's fun. That's interesting. Now I want to get a little bit more granular in terms of the data that I'm looking for. And so there's this other variable called clean test. And this one has, instead of binary pass fail, it has 5 different criteria. Okay is the same as pass. And then there's these other criteria, dubious, and then women only talk to men about men, no talk, women don't talk to each other at all, or no women, there are like fewer than 2 women in the whole movie. So what we want to do now is we want to repeat.
Can I just go back to understand this for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So there's this Bechdel test that has basically, is this the only criteria that women are only talking about men, women are talking about other things?
These are the criteria. These are the detailed criteria, yeah. Yep.
So there's fewer than 2 women, women don't talk to each other, women talk only about men, or pass, right? I don't know what dubious.
Yeah, so somebody looked at each of these movies and wrote down in what group it each of the movies fall.
Okay, and in the other one, in the data set, there is either a fail or a pass of this test that somebody has evaluated. It's not.
Let's go look and just look at it real quick. So in the data set, there are 2 columns. One's called binary, which is the pass fail.
Okay.
And one's called clean test, and it's those 5 different criteria. Yep.
So these are unique to this data set, or is this a generic R command of
Well, so, okay, let's come back here. So the,
group by? Yeah, so
Yes
is
and no.
that type of grouping that's
Yep.
unique to R, or is it
no, yeah,
something?
group by is a generic tidyverse thing that you can do. And the variable that's unique to the data set is called binary. We're grouping by that column.
So there aren't, in R, there aren't two types of group by. In this data
No.
set, there are two types of group by. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so in this example on line 42 to 46, we're doing a group by binary, and then we're doing a summarization. We're going to look at how much money, passing versus failing made. Okay, now the task for the class is let's repeat that, but we're going to repeat it on this other variable called clean test, which has more variables in it, more factors.
So
There's
can I
five.
just ask a question
Yep.
about this other one first?
Yeah.
So the group, the summarize is going to be based just on the subgroups.
So the summarize is going to take
the median, so these aren't labeled there. So, but underneath fail, oh, it is. So the median budget, the median, the domestic gross and the international gross median values are for the subset of fail because it comes under group by.
Well, no, it's going to calculate one for pass and one per fail.
Right, because it's under group by.
Yeah, because it's after the
Otherwise, it
group
would
by.
do it for the whole Bechdel.
Yeah,
one
if you
technique.
did, so if you commented out this line, you would get a single one that had all of it. So we can try that if you want.
That's exactly what my question is. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we won't do it. Yes. So again, we're trying to get familiar with the patterns here. We can tease them apart.
Because of that little percentage, that little pipeline at the end.
Pipe. Yep.
Okay.
And so you're piping Bechdel into group by, and then group by does its grouping, and it pipes its result output to summarize. And now summarize knows it's got a grouped input, and then so it's going to summarize on both of them.
And what's the last part? The NARM equals true.
Oh, that is a special thing in R that says if you see a cell that doesn't have anything in it, it's an NA value because there's nothing in it. It doesn't have a pass or a fail. I don't know what to do. I just throw it out. Basically, NAR instead of remove NAs because I can't do my operation on it.
Okay.
So just ignore it. It ignores NA, when you have.
Okay. NAs or empty cells?
Well, so in the data set, they're NAs. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I can get it. But generally, when you read something in and it's empty, it becomes an NA.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So okay. So let's go do this exercise. So I'm going to uncomment line 60 because I want to do this group by. Okay. So actually, look on the output. If you look on the right side, it says when we commented out the group by, you were asking before what happens if you didn't group by. This is what happens. This is a single output that has the values for the entire data set that hadn't been grouped, right? On well, it's not a line number, but it's highlighted there.
Okay.
We were just talking about that. Okay, so now we're going to undo that. We're going to do a group by, and we're going to group by something. What are we going to group by?
Hold on, what line you on? I just got a little lost.
Number 60. I'm on line 60, and we're going to uncomment
Yeah.
that group by, and we want to fill in those three underlines. What would you use there? What would you put there based on the pattern?
The other data type, which was not binary, but what was it? Full clean.
Clean
Clean
test.
test. That's right. Yeah, so let's just copy and paste that. Now, before you run it, before you knit it, what do you think you're going to see in that tibble in this data frame output? So it's going to write this data frame out.
You would see a line for okay, dubious men, no talk, no women, and then the median budget, median domestic gross, and median international gross.
That should be what we see.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see 5 lines. We ought to. So I'm going to knit this. So everyone go ahead and knit it. See what you got. Doesn't save my place, so I gotta go down. And yeah, and that's what I got. Did everyone get the same thing?
No, I must have done it wrong. I didn't cut and paste it. So,
you
so
typed
I think it's still commented.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that would do it. So uncomment it. Yep. Raise your hand when you get it, when you're there.
Hmm.
And
So
if
I
you,
still have this other one with just the one. That's odd. And
Do you
then
want-
underneath it,
oh, really? Oh, do you want to share your code? Share your screen?
sure, it's probably really obvious. Let me just see if I can figure it out first.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that isn't in the code.
Did you knit?
Wait a minute. I think I might have deleted the filter by accidentally. Group by.
Oh.
No, here. Yeah, let me just show you what I have. I'm not sure what I did. It's probably pretty simple, but. Okay, am I sharing my whole screen? Okay.
Yeah, you get the whole screen, but it's mostly filled there.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so grouping
this,
by clean
this
test.
I still have here, right?
Oh, so you should get an error. What does the error say?
No, I have it down here.
No, on the left-hand side, you're getting an error, right? It says
Yeah.
error in group by. Problem
Where?
adding computed columns.
Oh, down here. Okay.
Yeah, that's your error. So just look at the error. It says object clean not found.
Oh,
Okay.
I know.
Because it's not an underscore, it's a dash.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep.
said. I didn't cut and paste it. I just typed it.
That's
which
fine. So yeah, reknit this and let's see what happens. Scooch down. So you didn't get an error. That's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
okay, sweet. All right, I'm gonna steal the screen back. Is everybody there? Oh, Lucas, are you there?
Yeah. Yes.
Let me just how do I stop sharing?
Oh, I stole it away. You don't have to stop.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So that's cool. So now we're that was our second fill in. I think there's one more fill in. So let's take a look. So I'm going to just keep reading here. So we've done this group by clean test. So now I'm going to keep going. In order to evaluate how return on investment varies among
Oh,
movies.
hold on. I'm just kind of interested in actually data. Can I just?
Yeah.
Where is it now?
We're going to get to a graph. Oh, you want to? So okay. If you want to view it.
Okay, so these are budgets, gross. Okay, so it's like 44.
The data is not super compelling, to be honest. I would have expected a larger signal, but there doesn't seem to be an enormous signal on this. But it's really just a pedagogical tool.
Yeah, so with women in it, but they don't talk. Those movies do the best.
Oh, you're gonna.
I mean,
no. Okay. The highest one is no. Oh, no talk. Yeah, that's one. Yeah. You're right.
no, yeah. So yeah, and then no women, and then talk only about men. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to get into a discussion about that though. Let's go to, in order to evaluate how the return on investment varies among movies that pass and fail, we'll first create a new variable called ROI. Okay, that's interesting. So let's look and see how we do creating a new variable. Well, we take our initial data frame, and so we can reassign. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to take the data frame that we start with above, and we're going to do some stuff to it, and we're going to assign it back to the same data frame. So that's just like in every other computer language. You can say x equals 2, and then you can say x equals x plus 1.
So you're adding another row?
We're going to add a row, right? And that's what the
column.
I'm sorry, another column. You're right. That's what mutate does. So mutate does a bunch of stuff, but one of the things people use for it a lot is to just add columns. And so this, I'm going to pipe my Bechdel 9013 to mutate, and I'm going to say create this new guy called ROI, and this is how to calculate it. And for those computer people, just a quick aside, this is this language is vector based, and so it's not a single variable it's working on. It's doing it on all of the rows in the data frame with this one command. So like in C or in C#, you would do a for loop to loop through every row. But these vectorized languages, Python does the same thing. It just does it all in one smash, which is super great. Okay. So this is
Wait.
adding the ROI column to this Bechdel data frame and then assigning it back. Okay, let's go to the next. Let's see which movies have the highest return on investment. Okay, well, what's it going to do now? It's going to pipe this new Bechdel data frame to a range. So a range is just going to basically sort by descending ROI value. And then it's going to just select the 3 columns that we care about just for convenience, so you're not overwhelming the answer. So that's what these guys are doing. And the answer is a data frame, a tibble. We'll talk about that later. But this tells you in decreasing from highest to lowest, ROI, return on investment, the movie's ranked, right? So Paranormal Activity was the highest, had the highest return on investment, followed by Blair Witch, blah, 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 with lots more rows. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, so Tibble just cuts off after 10 and
No, a tibble is another word for data frame, but when you display any data frames, it only gives you the first few, because otherwise it would just flood your console with garbage.
But before this, why did you pipe Bechdel 9013 into Bechdel 9013? Wouldn't they be the same data set?
Yeah, so this line here you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what this is saying, like I said before, it's like x equals 2, and then x equals x plus 1. I'm recreating this data set with the same name, and I'm just using the original data set. I'm doing something to it, and I'm reassigning that new data set to the same name. It's just a convenience.
Would that
Generally, I don't
alter?
like to do this because I lose my original one, and then when I debug, I have to go back and change names. But
That would alter any previous use of the
it blows
data.
away whatever the original data was. Yeah.
Okay.
well, in this case, it doesn't blow away anything. It's just adding another row, right?
Well,
Another
under the hood, it's basically just blowing everything away and reassigning it to whatever the output of this statement is, because it could be any arbitrary thing. It happens to be just adding a column in this case, but in other cases, it summarize it.
In other words, you could create a new data set instead of calling it Bechdel, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
it would have been clear if I had just called
new
this.
Bechdel.
Yeah, right.
ROI.
This is what I do, like new 1, new 2, new 3, which is.
Yeah, or call it ROI or something.
Right, of course, right. With ROI, right? And if I wanted to do this right, ROI. Yeah, that's what I should have done. Yep. All right, let's keep going just for the sake of time. So we did that. Okay, now we're talking about visualization. So here's a nice little visualization.
We didn't actually do anything there, right? This is already done in our code, right?
Yep, I didn't do anything. What's the question? I didn't change anything.
There was no blank to fill in, right?
Not yet. No, we're getting there. So below is a visualization of the return on investment by the binary test result, fail or pass. But it's difficult to see the distributions because there's all these outliers. And so we want to make it a little bit easier to see by getting rid of those extreme observations. So they did so well that we know what they are and we don't want to see them. We're really interested in all this smushed up data down at the bottom. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of these high guys. And so, well, the first thing we're going to do here, so all this is saying is so when I do, so this is a ggplot example, and these are just labels. There's the X label, the Y label. So what we want to do here basically is just fill in what that label is. And what is that label? Does anyone remember? What is the Y-axis?
Return on investment.
Yeah, it's the ROI. So, I mean, this is sort of a trivial one, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to type in return on investment because now I can have a Y-axis that is meaningful. So that's all that was. I'm going to reknit. So you guys can do that if you want. It's just a label, but I'm going to reknit, and you'll see that this little dash should go away and turn into the label.
What's our warning?
Sorry?
What's our warning at the top of that? Because that says that's like the 3 dashes, so that's like the
Oh.
code. But what is
Warning
our
equals false. That means don't tell me about warnings. I don't care about warnings. Just ignore them. Don't report them to me.
like warnings as in errors in the code?
Yeah. So I think when there's like an NA in the data, you'll get a warning printed out. And so if warning equals false was off, you'd get a bunch of warnings under here somewhere, like somewhere in the code. Like we can turn it off and see what happens. What was it? Well, let's do that later. Just I don't want to get distracted. So I put in return on investment in Y, and then if you see on the knitted side, it says return on investment. Interestingly, if you look on the left-hand side, it did not update that graph. Does anybody remember why that could be?
You have to run it or something? I don't know.
Because we're talking about this is this thing with different environments. When I knit, it's this other sort of environment over here that nobody knows about, but this graph showed up because I ran all. So I did the run all. So if I run all again, that it'll show up. Oh, let me do it just for fun. I'm going to run everything and see now it says return on investments here. So this is the thing.
I have mine set preview in viewer pane, but I'm not seeing that.
I'm sorry.
I don't see the graph on the left-hand side.
That's because you didn't run all, probably. You didn't do this run all command. You
No,
don't need to.
I have it. You sure it's not like the mode that I'm in?
Well, your viewer is viewing on the right, correct? Like, are you seeing this? Like right now, are you seeing these two different panes open?
Yeah. But all I see is code on the left. I don't see this graph.
Well, if you want to see it, you can do this run all. Where you seeing
But
your
I didn't see it before without the title. You're saying you only see it if you hit the run all.
You'll only see it if you, because I did a run all earlier on.
Earlier, okay.
Describe something to somebody. Yeah. And you don't have to do it. We'll get there, but it's not something we need to do in this guy. And in fact, I can just kill it by going bip, and that just removes it. I think there's one more underscore. So let's get to that one because we're
Shouldn't we be saving this as we kind of go along?
It saves itself now.
Oh, okay.
If you wanted to save it in version control, that's a different story.
No, I just was
yeah,
curious.
no, it saves it. Yeah, it saves it.
We don't want to get lose all our stuff we did.
Right. No, all the changes, every time you knit, it saves the document.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going just for the sake of time. What are those movies with very high returns? Okay, so we can look at how do I figure that out? Okay, well, I'm going to pipe Bechdel 913 to a thing called filter, and filter is going to basically only let through stuff that matches some criterion. And so my criterion is ROI greater than 400, which is going to be large because my 400 is here. So there's only a few things that are greater than 400. Those are my very large returns. So I'm filtering only that, and then I'm going to go back to this select thing like we had before. And so now the output is just those 3 movies that had greater than 400 ROI. And in fact, I'm not even showing the ROI here. I'm showing the budget, the domestic gross in the year.
So that's the opposite of what you're saying. So you're only interested in the outliers, not in the.
Well, that's just what this code is doing right here. It's just saying, you're right. Yes. So now we're going to do the opposite. So we want to zoom in on the movies with the ROI less than that value in order to get a better view.
Okay.
And so that's where we
Okay, so you're recalculating
the
the medians without the outliers.
So now,
So that blank is going to be 400.
Yeah, that I think it could. So that's a good question, actually. It's going to be either 400 or 15, and I think it'll end up being the same thing, because there's no data between 400 and 15. Oh no, there is. That's a good question, actually. The fact that they're limiting the y-axis value to 15 here makes me think I should use 15. If I used 400, I should want this to go at least to the max value of whatever I'm seeing. But the fact that it gets chopped off makes me want to use 15. But I guess it's kind of up to you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
use,
I mean, there must be a ton in the up in that grouping up to 15, and then like the dots don't.
yeah, there is, that's why it's trying to, that's why why we do a box plot instead of just show all the individual. Oh, that is a box plot. Yeah, this is a smush box plot. You don't see any variability, right? Sorry. So I'm gonna use 15. It could be, it's either 15 or 400. I don't know. And then I'm going to subtitle this, right? And then my subtitle, I'm going to give it something meaningful like ROI less than 15. And then I'm going to reknit this and we'll see what happens. Boop. And if you reknit, you'll see that that's what happened. Now, we could argue about what the right value is, right? If I made it 400, well, first of all, is everyone able to get that far?
No, let me take a minute.
Okay.
I did mine with 400 and I got the same graph.
That's because, well, why do you think that is?
Run,
There's probably not enough data between those two.
Well,
you're
there's
probably
another
not
reason.
the same.
run all.
There's a thing called YLIM on coordinate Cartesian here, and that's hard coding the value. This is generally bad practice. In fact, we would want to be data driven on this limit. Because exactly of the reason that you just said, but I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to say 400 here, and I'm going to change this to, I'm going to change everything to 400. And I'm going to reknit. And now I'm smushed again because I only went to 400. So 15 is the right answer, I guess. Because all these guys are in here. Now my box plots are so smushed up, so I'm going to go back to 15 because I want to see some variability in my box plots.
So
But-
What are the box plots?
Excuse me?
What are box plots?
It's a box and whisker plot, so it gives you the lines are the middle one is the median, and then it's the 25 and the 75 quartile percentages, and then there's outliers and stuff. The outliers are defined differently in different things. So like, I think in this case, it goes to 95% with the little whisker there, and all the dots are outliers above 95%, I think.
Okay.
So
So
does this
the-
mean that the movies that do pass the Bechdel test actually earn more? Like, not what the other graph was showing?
This one says that the ones that pass the test earn more, yeah.
Yeah, and in general, that's interesting.
general,
Instead of with the outliers, then when you take into account the really big ones. Huh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the command coordinate Cartesian is the only thing that's really controlling the y-axis.
That's correct, yeah. There would be other ways to do it. That this is a little bit of a lazy way to do it because I would want to use the data to tell me, but I don't want to get. Let's not go there right now because we'll spend a ton of time. So that took an hour.
Wait, what? We're looking at the ones that that return on investment is really low, but they pass the test for really low return on investment.
Actually, Pete, this is just a graphing trick. We're not filtering. We haven't done any filtering here. I have to take everything back
No,
that I
he's
said.
just trying to interpret the data.
Yeah, so the data that you're seeing is stretched out here because you're only looking at 0 to 15.
Yep.
Right.
Right. So 0 to 15 is a low return on investment. So if we're looking at just the movies with the relatively low return
Well, no,
on,
the median ROI is defined by those middle values. So the median ROI is between 3 and 5 for everything. For all of the different
right, but we filtered out the really high return on investment movies. So we're just looking at, it's really not just really low, it's kind of like most.
You're
of
right.
it.
We filtered out everything above 400. Right. So this is only things below 400. But we're only graphing 0 to 15 so that we can see that the stretchiness in the box plot. It's a little wacky. I wouldn't have done this in my analysis.
So the 75th, so the percentiles and everything are just based on 0 to 15?
No, they're based on 0 to 400 because that was the data. The data is the last time we affected the data was here, where we filtered our. Oh wait,
Greater than, yeah. So we're looking at the result, the binary test. The test is for everything over 400, but
No,
we're
oh
graphing
sorry,
under 15.
sorry, I take it back. There's no assignment here, Pete.
Oh.
This is the entire data set. I'm so sorry. It
Back-
didn't get assigned back. So yeah, it's the whole data set. So these statistics are for the whole data set.
Oh, okay. So the 400 thing isn't changing
It's
back
not
down.
changing this data table,
We're
right?
looking at everything. For the
Yeah.
pass fail, we're looking at
Yep.
everything.
Yes.
But we're only looking graphing under 15.
Yes, so that we can see the
Okay.
variability in the box plot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let's pretend we're done with this guy.
so that title probably isn't right. ROI less than 15.
No, it absolutely is wrong. In
Okay.
fact, ROI.
Something about zooming in to a certain level.
That's
Is that
wrong. Actually, it's not. It's really just. I'm not sure what you would say there. It's not. You're not zooming in here because you're using the data. You're using the entire data set. Oh, the subtitle is the graph
Graphing.
range
Graphing.
from 0 to 15.
Right.
Yeah, that's true, but the data hasn't been filtered.
Right.
Okay, anyway, let's not belabor that. Okay, so that was our first actual interactive exercise.
okay? Should we do that real quick, or you don't want us to take the time?
Let's not take the time. I think that's just a title update. So I'm gonna get out of here. So what I wanted to do, so we're halfway through, and what I wanted to do today, if I can get there, where are we? Was to do the Bechdel exercise, which we just did, and then go to break. But I think maybe we should go to break now because it's an hour, and then we'll come back and I'll go through the slides pretty quick. There's only like 10 slides, and then we'll go into the lab, and the lab's going to basically walk us through what the work process is, and it's also there's some setup for GitHub talking to our Studio Cloud. So why don't we take 5 minutes now, and then come back, and we'll do the bit of slides and then go into the lab. Can I pause this thing?
What time are you coming back? I'm sorry. 8.
8:10. Let's come back at 8:10.
Okay.
I don't know how to pause it. I guess I'm just gonna keep it running, because otherwise we get 2 movies. That's goofy. All right. Hey, Pete, are you there? Let's see. I'm gonna actually try and distribute this lab right now. Let's see if everyone gets it. Hi there. Hey, did you get everyone should have got an email that invited you to um the lab. Can you see if you got that?
No.
No. You should have a repo under your so first you should be invited to DS 101 organization.
Yeah.
You see it?
Well, I'm in there, and then
okay. So
it
you
has
should have
no
a lab
public-
called
no
lab.
public repositories.
Still? Can you refresh?
Yes, it still has that,
Well, I might
and
have,
it has no public members as well.
there shouldn't be any public members. I might have to debug this then.
Maybe it's a public. It says no public repositories, so maybe there's a private repository somehow.
Yeah. So everyone should have a private repository individual to them for this lab that we're going to do. But-
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe there's a setting.
Well, we'll go through.
Everything is coming up as public. Maybe there's a toggle to go between public and private.
We'll go through it.
Is there a link for this?
No, not this
Oh,
one.
now I have it. I wasn't signed in. Sorry.
All right, good. Thank you, honey. All right, so let's go back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a few slides on what's version control and sort of some graphs about how we're going to use it, and then we're going to try and get into this lab one. So while we were on break, I distributed the lab, so everyone should actually in their GitHub now have a lab with your name called lab1-ind- your GitHub username. But let's go do these slides and then we'll come back to that. All right, so let's go to version control. So last time we did programming stuff. Now we're going to do version control and collaboration. So what is Git and what is GitHub? So Git is a version control system, kind of like track changes, but like on massive steroids. Like it's way better than that, and it's so Git you probably don't care, but there's lots and lots of version control systems, and Git is just the latest one that people like to use, and it has a lot of affordances that old ones didn't have, but you don't care about that. But and GitHub, so Git's not GitHub, they're different things. You know, Git is a version control software package, and GitHub is a home page and a website that allows you to do Git stuff and a bunch of other stuff actually. And it's a lot like Dropbox, but it's Dropbox with really, really, industrial strength version control. Okay, so we're going to use GitHub, and on GitHub we use Git for collaboration and also for course management. All right, so let's just talk about versioning. This should be, I don't know if this is obvious or not, but pretty straightforward, right? If you're doing something like this is a picture of a Lego house, and my version 1 might just be my floor, and my version 2 might be like some of my foundation. And as I make substantive changes, I want to tag it as a version so that like on step 4, if the whole house falls down, I can revert back to V3 and sort of start again, right? Of course, you can't do that with Legos, but you can do it with versioning. And then the nice thing about this also is with Git also, we like to write a message when we commit a change that tells us what we did that we're committing. A lot of people just say, I updated it. I'm guilty of that too, but really it's really helpful to, when you commit a change, to say what you changed, so that when you go back, invariably you're going to want to go back into version control because something got screwed up, and you want to go back to where you're confident that it actually worked, so that you can undo all of those changes that broke your system. This is just a funny slide for why we need version control. If you guys have not run into this yet, just wait, because you will. You write a document, somebody says, oh, change this and this, and then, okay, fine, I'll write for document rev version 2. And then you turn the crank more and more. And this happens a lot with Excel also, which is sort of this version control and scriptability kind of banging in their heads, in Excel. And it really just becomes a mess very quickly. And I'm not going to evangelize anymore, but that's why we need version control. So this is just a kind of a cool picture of how we're going to use this. So in the organization, the organization that you guys all just joined is called DS101-Ebner-Summer-2022. So that's the organization. And then you're going to have a bunch of repositories, and everyone's going to have their own set of repositories. And you guys, if you all looked on your GitHub, you would have a repository now in your that you can see. So there's this, you only have visibility right now to your stuff, and so you're only going to see the stuff that belongs to you. So Lucas, you're going to have in your organization, you're going to have a lab1-ind-frisch-ii, which is your GitHub username. So everyone should have one repository. If I go and look, I'll see everybody's repository in the organization. Anyway, the way you're going to work on this is for your repo. So that's that yellow one I just highlighted is your repository that we just got put in there. You're going to clone it to RStudio Cloud or RStudio. So, and then by doing that new project thing, you're actually cloning the repository. And that's basically just taking a copy and copying it locally onto wherever you're going to do your execution. And then this is a bunch of steps in one. You're going to do changes, and then you're going to commit those changes, and they're going to get committed locally. And then when you're ready, you're going to push, like when you're done with the assignment, you're going to push the repository back up into GitHub, and that will take all of the commits that you did, all those changes, and update the repository. And then I can go look at it, and I can see what you did, and I can give you feedback on it. So that's like in a nutshell. That's like super high level. That's the workflow that we're going to do, and that's what the lab's all about. There's lots of GitHub Git commands. We're only going to use a few of them. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Oh, happygitwithr.com if you're interested for more information. I haven't actually looked at this. I'm sure it's cool though. You can go here and do all sorts of stuff, but don't go there yet. Let's not go there. All right, so now we're going to go to doing the stuff. So you all did create your GitHub account. You sent me your username.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So these slides are on data science and R at this Netify thing.
Yeah.
Are they also in Git somewhere, or?
Yeah. So these are, I could show you. They are in my repository. If
They're
you
not
go,
shared with us.
pardon?
Can we easily see the slides that you've done for each class so we can?
Oh, if you don't want to see the source code, you want to see the slides. I was going to show you the source code, which is silly. Let's go there. So that's here. That's this. So this website. Oh boy, it's a little slow. The website which is the home page, is a website, but it also has all the slides. So if I go into any of these sections, I'm going to go into the first section, and anywhere that says slides, you click on that, and that's the slide deck.
So will this be a permanent thing that we can have as a reference, or is it
Yeah,
going to be
this
taken
will-
down at some point?
No, this will stay here forever.
Okay.
And hopefully I can reuse it over and over. And I'll make it better, because where it's broken or where it's stupid, I'll fix it. But it should. If I clicked on slides, those are the slides that we were just looking at.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep.
So I should like bookmark that or something?
Yeah. You want? I can send you it again. It's really just this guy here. Yeah, bookmark this. I guess I probably didn't say that last time, but yeah, bookmark this, and that's a pointer to everything that you write. So let's go back to the slides. So if you go up into GitHub, you can, if you uncheck keep my email address private, then I think other people would be able to see your email and communicate with you, but you guys already have everybody's email. And then you can do fun stuff by adding your photo if you want. That's just GitHub silliness. But now what I wanted to do, and this is a little bit not out of sequence, but I want to go into the lab, and we have enough time to start the lab. I don't know if we'll have enough time to finish it, but the lab is going to be it's going to hook up your Git and your RStudio so that you can check things out, and then you can commit them back, and I can see what you've done. So if you want feedback on submissions, or if you want help, that's a good way to do it. So I'm going to go back to this is back to the home page again.
Well, I'm in the Welcome to Data Science section of the website, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to click on instructions here, and that's going to give us the instructions for doing the lab. And then it's basically a step by step. We're going to step through this process, and again, we kind of have to do this. I think it makes sense to do it together because it's a lot of steps, but it's like connecting stuff. So I'm just going to read this. We're going to read through it together. So the goal of this lab is you're going to get introduced to R&R Studio.
How did you get there again?
Sure. If you go, go to the, so this is the home page that I just sent you in the,
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to course content, welcome to data science, that's section 1, click there.
Okay,
And then scroll to the bottom and it says lab 1.
thank you.
It's a bunch of crud, but that's what, so that's, oops. Okay. All right. And this lab is about connecting GitHub and RStudio Cloud. So that's what I want to do to the lab. And maybe we don't go through this together. Maybe everyone can go and, well, let's do the first steps together and just make sure that we don't have any hiccups, because this is the kind of stuff that can definitely hiccup you. And you're going to have to go to RStudio Cloud and refer back here. And I'm not sure the easiest way to do it. I've already hooked my stuff up. So in fact, I'm not sure I can show you because it's done, but maybe let's see if we can step through this. And
You want me to share screen and you could talk me through it?
yeah, so everyone go to RStudio Cloud.
Do you want me to share or you guys?
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good idea, sure. That's a good idea. Okay. Yeah, make that nice and big. So go to your workspace, I guess. Or it doesn't matter, but okay. And then go up to Jackie Ebner and click on that. Click on your name. Oh, and click on authentication. Okay, so it is there. It looks a little different. Okay, now in the authentication window, you're going to check the box for enabled, which it is. It's oh, you're going to enable it for GitHub though. Yeah, that one. Yep. And it doesn't say whether or not private repo access also enabled. Enabled. All right. So anyway, you're going to authorize.
I think I should do that too, right? Because it's private repo.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think so too, because they are not public repos. You're right. Okay, so how did you get to that other one where you hit the authorization button?
You told me to go up to authentication.
No. When you click that checkbox, did you click the little green authorize RStudio?
Yeah.
Okay, and then it just went away?
Yeah.
Redirect you?
So-
Oh, you had to do it once. You had to do it once and then a second time. Okay, that's what it says. Was there a question?
Yeah, I was just going to RStudio Cloud. I had to log in, so I missed all those steps.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah.
I was using RStudio Desktop, and I don't
Yeah.
know if that'll work.
But I just went to authentication and then clicked on.
You have to do them one at a time. So click on enabled and then go authorize, and then click on private and then go authorize. But the thing is, when you're back in the authentication window, can you go back to authentication? At this point, you should also make sure that the course organization shows up under organization access. If it does not, this means you have not accepted the GitHub invitation to join the course. But you did do that. You should get the organization here.
Someone's waiting in the lobby, it says.
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Under
no, that was on the authorized page, so I don't actually know. You clicked it really fast. So can you unclick private or that? Okay, click enabled again. Don't. Oh, it's already authenticated you. All right, click on private. All right, well, let's assume you have organization access. Both should be checked. I'm not sure how you test on organization access. To confirm you've successfully linked your GitHub, go to GitHub settings applications, GitHub settings. Okay, so go to GitHub. Go log into GitHub. And then go to GitHub settings. And then I'll go to settings down there. Yep. And applications is down on the left. Yep. Click on applications. Down, down, down. Down. Up. And you should have an RStudio. RStudio under OAuth. Yep. So that's cool. All right. So that's the stuff that I want everyone to get through before we go on. So the rest of the lab is actually doing the lab, but I want to get here first. So I don't know if everybody was able to follow that to the extent to be able to do it. Did anyone, or
No.
maybe everyone goes through it once at a time. You don't. If you're on the desktop and you have Git enabled and you have your personal access token, it should also work, but that's more complicated. But Pete, if you have your setup, it should still work through your desktop. But so let's who else? Should we just walk through everybody? Walk through it one at a time. I'm not sure what the best way to do this, but everyone, I'd like everyone to get to a point where you're showing your maybe you stop sharing now, Jackie.
Oh, I thought you did took it back because I don't see my screen.
Oh, weird. So we can do this any number of ways. Who wants to go next? Maybe. Does somebody want to? Oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Does somebody want to go next, or Lucas? Where are you?
If you're talking about authorization of RStudio, I authorized it.
To talk to GitHub? Okay.
Yeah. I think
Anybody
Mom did.
else? Wait, Mom did. Okay. Is everybody
I
else?
authorized it, but it
Yeah.
still doesn't let it won't let me access the repository.
Huh. Can you want to share your screen?
My I can try to show it with the phone camera on my laptop. I don't know if that works.
Okay. So how do you know you don't have access?
So I go to new project and then
Oh,
the
okay.
Git repository, and then when I put in the URL, it says it cannot access Git repository.
Well, so Jackie, why don't you test that? So we went through your process, but we actually don't know that it worked. So let's
What do you want me to do? I'm sorry, I was doing
go to our studio
something.
and then go to new project from Git. And then you're going to want to go to your GitHub and go find that repo, that lab1 repo. Now, you should have gotten an email for this, but I don't know why you didn't. But
Hold on, I'm still in settings. Let me just figure out how to get back to my.
do you want to share? Let me unshare.
1 second. Yeah, I
I'm
got
having the same problem that Shamil's having.
it. That's weird.
From the repository, are we doing lab 01 RMD?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
I think I screwed something up.
For sure.
Yeah, so you have to go under your organizations, not under your repositories. So let me show you what I see here. So
I couldn't access it.
so here, if I go to your repositories, it's showing this other thing.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. You want to go to
But if I
your.
go to your organizations, then
Okay.
it shows this repository. And then,
That's an organization. So click on that.
oh, sorry.
And that's your repo. Yeah. So click
Then I
on.
copy this link.
No. Click on it. And now there's a green code button. Click on that green code button and copy that link. Yeah, and then paste that into RStudio. Yep. And then, oh, interesting. So you got the same problem. Shoot.
Well, I have a different email on my GitHub than on my RStudio.
We went through the process. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to do some debug. Damn it. All right.
We can try and work through the lab on our own
Well, you can't even get to it yet.
once you fix it.
You
Yeah.
can read it, but yeah, I'm gonna have to look at this. So let me just look and see. So if I run org repos, I get everyone's repo, but there must be some setting. What did it say? What was the error message? Sorry. So Shamil, you got that same error message, correct?
Yeah, that one right
Okay.
there.
Okay. We are unable to access your repo. Make sure you entered the URL correctly. Repo's accessible to your currently linked GitHub account. It must have something to do with the linking of the accounts. All right, I don't want to belabor this with everybody. I'm going to have to work through this and then get back to everybody. So let's talk a little bit about logistics. I apologize for that, but we'll fix it and I'll send out a message to everybody. Logistics. So Grace asked me about office hours. So there's also a homework, but if I can't distribute it, it's not going to be very useful. But assuming we get past it, if you guys want to do the homework and the lab, and you need help, I was gonna, like, on the weekend be available for a couple hours. I'm gonna be there doing it anyway because I need to make sure next week's stuff's gonna work. So I don't know what a good time is for anybody. Like, I was thinking like maybe a morning, maybe Saturday morning, like at 9 to 11. I don't know if anyone would be available then or interested. Otherwise,
Are you talking about times for office hours or times to like troubleshoot this?
office hours? No, I'm gonna try to troubleshoot it right now after the call, but no office hours.
You
Anybody
could do
have-
it like you could have that, but you could also do it like a by email basis. Like
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, anytime anybody has a question, feel free to email or reach out. All right, so I'm gonna set something up probably like Saturday 12 to noon or something, because I'll be up and I don't think we're doing anything special. So I'll send out a meeting notice though. And if anyone's interested, I'll be on there and you can log in if you want. And if not, that's fine too. So I'll send that out, and then I apologize for this. We'll get this sorted out, and then I'll send out a note to everybody once it gets sorted out. But I don't think we can do anything else right now.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks everybody. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.